If the light of 1,000 suns were to blaze all at once in the sky, it would be like the splendor of that great being. When J. Robert Oppenheimer witnessed the very first atomic bomb test, experiencing that terrifying, earth-shattering moment of supreme destructive power, he didn't quote a modern physics textbook. He actually quoted the Bhagavad Gita. And in that single breath, he totally bridged the gap between hard, modern science and ancient Vedic philosophy.
So, welcome to today's explainer. We are going to demystify the ancient concept of Ishvara. Specifically, we're looking at its exact meaning in Chapter 10 of the Bhagavad Gita, and we're going to break it down using the empirical realities of modern science. It's a really wild journey that's going to take us from a 5,000-year-old battlefield dialogue right up to the cutting edge of modern thermodynamics and quantum entanglement.
We've got some beautifully complex ground to cover today, so here's our quick roadmap. We'll look at science meets ancient wisdom, define Ishvara, explore the potter and the clay, dive into quantum entanglement, spot extraordinary manifestations, and wrap it all up with the ultimate cosmic equation.
All right, Section 1, Science meets Ancient Wisdom. Let's see how reality's rules aren't always exactly what they seem.
Okay, picture this. There's this ancient story where Mother Yashoda looks into baby Krishna's mouth just to see if he was eating dirt, but instead of dirt, she sees the entire universe. All the planets, the stars, the entire cosmos existing in his fullness in every single atom, simultaneously. Now, for the longest time, people just brushed this off as, cool ancient science fiction, but think about modern quantum superposition. Physicists today tell us that particles absolutely can exist in multiple states at once until they're observed. It turns out reality is operating on multiple sets of laws, and we're really just starting to map out the ones the Gita described millennia ago.
Moving right along to Section 2, Defining Ishvara. Let's figure out who or what is actually running this vast, rule-breaking universe. So, the Bhagavad Gita outlines 5 core truths of existence, and the very first one is Ishvara. But what is the specific meaning here? Well, Ishvara is not just some distant deity or an old man sitting on a cloud. Ishvara is the supreme controller, the ultimate operator, the actual literal cause of the entire cosmos and all its energies. To understand Ishvara is really to understand the origin code of reality itself.
Section 3, the potter and the clay. This is where we break down the actual mechanics of creation.
To really grasp how Ishvara interacts with our modern world, we need to look at this brilliant analogy from the scholars of Chapter 10. Think about how we build things. When humans make something, you need 2 distinct elements. First, you need an intelligent cause, right? Like a potter with a mind, a blueprint, and the skill to visualize a pot. But you also desperately need a material cause, the actual physical clay to build the thing out of. The potter obviously isn't the clay, and the clay isn't the potter. They are separate.
But here is where the concept of Ishvara completely shatters our conventional thinking. Unlike human creation, the Gita tells us that Ishvara is uniquely both things. Ishvara is the intelligent designer who visualizes the world, absolutely, but is also the actual material substance that the world is made out of. God didn't just build the universe is literally an expression of God's own energy. Ishvara is the potter and the clay.
Section 4, Quantum Entanglement. Let's see how this ancient duality maps straight onto our modern math.
Let's connect the dots here. Think about the first law of thermodynamics. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. Modern physics confirms that quantum information is never truly lost. Well, thousands of years ago, the Gita called this indestructible core energy the Atman. And when the Gita talks about Krishna's universal form, this mind-blowing idea that all beings and planets are woven together into one unified whole, it is directly mirroring what we now call quantum entanglement.
Albert Einstein literally called this spooky action at a distance. He was totally baffled by the fact that 2 entangled particles can instantly influence each other's state, even if they are light years apart. I mean, it completely defies classical physics. Yet, here is the Bhagavad Gita vividly describing this deeply interconnected universal consciousness, where no place is truly empty and everything is totally entangled, thousands of years before we had the math to back it up.
All right, Section 5, Extraordinary Manifestations. How do we spot this in real life?
Because let's be real, we can't walk around perceiving quantum entanglement all day long, right? This brings us to Chapter 10's core theme, known as Vibhuti Yoga. A vibhuti translates to an extraordinary manifestation, a glory, or a prominent expression of the Lord in the material world. Since Ishvara literally is everything, trying to find him could be incredibly overwhelming. So Vibhuti Yoga gives us a practical hack. Look for the most extraordinary elements in any given category and see them as direct manifestations of Ishvara's power.
To help Arjuna wrap his head around this, Krishna gives some really specific, easy-to-understand examples. He says, "Among rivers, I am the mighty Ganga. Among animals, I am the lion." What this means for us is that wherever you see absolute, unparalleled excellence, power, or brilliance in any specific field, that is Ishvara peeking right through the material fabric of the modern world. Ishvara is the underlying excellence in literally everything.
Look at this breakdown right here. There are so many boundless glories categorized in the text that Arjuna actually gets tired listening to the endless list. But the point of this chapter isn't just to memorize a list. It's designed to help us digest the overwhelming, infinite nature of the cosmos into relatable, bite-sized human concepts. It's meant to change our attitude, turning our everyday observations of greatness into profound moments of spiritual recognition.
And finally, Section 6, the ultimate cosmic equation. Let's bring this massive cosmic view back down to Earth.
Ultimately, understanding Ishvara teaches us a vital, game-changing lesson about reality. The universe isn't some dead, disconnected machine full of random, isolated parts. It's a single, perfectly balanced, highly efficient system of entangled energy. When we act with that awareness, when we do our duties without being selfishly attached to the results, just like the Gita advises, we align ourselves with this grand cosmic order. We become a harmonious part of the quantum whole instead of constantly fighting against it.
So as we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with a question to really chew on. When physicists map out the boundaries of quantum mechanics, when they discover that matter is just a turbulent sea of energies, and when they literally prove that the entire universe is fundamentally entangled, are they just rewriting the ancient poetry of the Supreme Controller? Are they simply discovering new, mathematical ways to describe the exact meaning of Ishvara from Chapter 10? Keep that in mind the next time you look up at the stars or read a new science headline. Thank you so much for joining me, and keep exploring.